Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast. Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Brian Conneen. Brian Conneen has had a journeyman's career in software development and information technology spanning multiple decades, 2 centuries, and at least 1 millennia. He brings a critical, enthusiastic approach to problem-solving issues at code, system, and organizational levels. He has worked in varied roles within IT, customer-facing troubleshooter, critical systems architect, and dynamic team leader. His most recent journey includes successfully launching, then shepherding Best Egg from a business plan to over $11 billion originated as a Chief Information Officer and Chief Technology Officer. Well, good afternoon, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to participate today.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And of course, like I had mentioned, Brian, you have the same first name and spelling as I do, which is always fun. I always like to savor in the moment that, we were given the best names in the world, right?
So absolutely. But the ones who spell it with a Y are my mortal enemies.
Yeah, exactly. So, Brian, you've got some awesome career. We're going to jump into the questions here. You've got awesome career in tech as a developer, engineer, and now you're the CIO and CTO of Best Egg. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't know that it's a secret. I think when I've looked back over the past 20 plus years, the one common thread that I've found that has enabled my success is just being open to new challenges. I've been an engineer. I've been in sales for periods of times. I've been in customer support. And if something new came along and I thought it was interesting and aligned to my skill sets, I was just kind of willing to say yes. I think those diverse experiences kind of form the foundation for what I do today. The other thing I think about is whatever kind of job I had, whether it was customer focused success or in pre-sales or post-sales or engineering, development, and architecture, I always tried to stay focused on positive outcomes for my customers. And that customer could be a coworker. It could have been a business in a B2B type scenario or consumers. I've had all of those folks as my customers. And I feel like if you stay focused on those positive outcomes and don't let yourself get too lost in the details of the technology or the implementation, that's definitely incredibly helpful. And the third thing is that I think is super helpful for me and has been a great benefit to my entire career is always being willing to change my mind. As I take in new information, I'll let previous opinions go and form new ones. I'll synthesize information to make better outcomes. And I've never been afraid to be wrong. And I think that's incredibly helpful.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And I think you're right. It kind of molds or builds our character, having the breadth of experience that you've experienced and many of us have experienced. It definitely built a stronger character. So thank you for sharing. And Brian, as you know, everybody globally this last year and continues to make major shifts and pivots and innovate right around this pandemic. Could you share with us what you're doing to help your organization stay relevant in this economy?
So, what has been very important for us during the pandemic is to stay in constant touch with our customers. We do this through a myriad of ways, leveraging technology to, get feedback, surveys. We have an entire insights-driven community where we engage customers on a regular basis. And that helped us kind of develop some key strategies during and for post-pandemic. Things like we built a specific program for our existing customers with loans during the pandemic to allow them to modify their loans and extend their payments. And that has really generated 2 great outcomes for us. Number one, a ton of customer goodwill and loyalty. They are super happy that we were proactively trying to help them even before they got into any sort of trouble or concerns. And number 2, positive business outcomes. Our loan portfolio is just as healthy as it was pre-pandemic, and our future is very bright in that area as well. And, that kind of helped us, that insight with our customers and the way we approach that also is how we approach our employees. Constantly staying in touch with our employees, being incredibly transparent, communicating on a regular basis with how the business is doing and initiatives and things like that. And then letting feedback both from customers and employees drive our decisions at the top of the house. That has really helped us kind of get to our new normal and how we think we're going forward. It also synthesizes incredibly well with our kind of customer-centric strategy at Marlette, which is, our core goal is to provide to those who are recently bankrupt or event disrupted with means to make ends meet. So, there's this class of customers in the market that, these are financially responsible people who hit a tough time, whether it's the pandemic or other things prior to that. And post that tough time, they're still financially responsible, but they don't necessarily get treated that way from the financial services companies of today. And our goal is to be able to treat them the way that they've got accustomed to pre their event or their issues, and get them back on their feet and get them back on the right path.
That's awesome. I appreciate the share on that. And of course, having some empathy and compassion nowadays, especially during the pandemic, but whenever somebody runs into a challenge, I appreciate hearing that. So thanks again, Brian. And so, Brian, we're a tech platform, as you know, so you're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies in your tech stack. Anything specific you might be able to share with us today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key fuels to our success from the very beginning, a little over 7 years ago, has been embracing the cloud. And I feel like that embracing comes in phases. Number one, it's just, hey, the cloud is a great way to, build a business. Yeah, we don't have to have our own data centers. And that's just, replicating what you used to do in the cloud, where you're not necessarily responsible for the servers anymore. Then there's a phase where you really embrace what the cloud has. Hey, we're not just recreating a physical environment. We're doing things that you might that are better in the cloud or more optimized. And the third thing, I think the third phase that you run into, which is we have kind of really accelerated into in 2020, is doing things that you never thought were possible that you can only achieve if the cloud is the foundation. And that's really what we've been leaning into. So things like serverless scaling, cloud-based data warehouses, leveraging these unique technologies that you could not recreate in the normal, pre-cloud world that the cloud companies have made available to us to do things at scale with, flexibility that was never possible before. And so what we've used this for is, we have about 1.4 trillion data points we've collected in the last 7 years with our customers and our business. And that's a lot of data. A lot of it goes untapped. It's a deep reservoir in the ground of data, or, a huge ocean, however you want to think about it. And we've been using cloud technologies to discover meaningful data, but then once it's discovered, to expose it in real time to our business in a way that, we can build attributes that have real meaning synced to a customer in our customer-centric business approach. So we have a proprietary algorithm that we can identify customers and their data. And so that we feel very confident that if we look at an individual customer, all the data we've associated with them is uniquely theirs. And then we can build attributes based on that customer's preferences and behaviors to better serve them and find interesting products and new ways to engage with them. And honestly, we have a lot of smart people who've been able to figure out ways to do things that are only been possible in the cloud.
That's awesome to hear. And you're right. There's been a big movement the last several years on the cloud, but now the cloud's getting even more, I would say, smarter, more innovative with how services are offered and how the scalability is literally in a blink of an eye. You can scale, to basically an enterprise data center. I've seen it in some of the major cloud providers, which is really nice. So, Brian, let's talk a little bit about your, just the last question here, just your background. Could you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in tech or leadership?
Absolutely. The thing that I've found that has fueled my career and my enthusiasm and passion is first focusing on what is going to drive business value. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. Your business could be, in mobile games, or your business could be in enterprise B2B software or in financial services and technology like I am now. But what is going to drive business value And then from staring at that point of view, what technology can I use to do that and achieve it? I love technology. I've been fascinated with it since I was 5 years old and saw my first Apple Macintosh computer. And that passion and that enthusiasm has never gone away. But I don't allow that to override what the goal of I'm trying to accomplish is. What am I chasing? And in my career, that has always been generating some sort of business value, either for constituents within the company, other businesses, or consumers. Now I'm at Best Egg, and I found that that's a good guiding light to kind of drive your decisions. Technology for technology's sake can be a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, and I find myself on days that's happening. But what I hope to achieve is that more often than not, the choices and decisions I make are driving business value first, and technology engagement and best practices and all of the things that go with that second. But not every decision has to be weighted one way or the other. But if you blend 100 decisions together, have you achieved that balance of most of the time you're moving the business forward?
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Brian. And it is something as a leader, we need to tend to be aware, self-awareness, right? We love the tech. I love tech, but sometimes, you've got to get out of the tech to think like the business to ensure that you're doing the right thing for the business and their goals. So thanks again. And Brian, it was a pleasure having you on today. I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Brian, I really appreciate the invitation. It was a great conversation and look forward to speaking again soon as well.
Bye for now.